this is Frode and welcome to another episode of 5 Big Ideas. Today we have an extraordinary book, Art and Fear, Observations on the Perils and Rewards of Art Making. This is a book about how it feels like sitting down at your keyboard in your studio or in your classroom or whatever to do the work that you need to do. It's a book about committing your future in your own hands, and it's a book about finding your work. In short, it's a survival guide for everyone who wants to create something. Creators can be parents, teachers, writers, artists, anything. The book is written by Ted Orland and David Bayles, who are both teachers and working artists who have accumulated a lot of artistic wisdom through their careers, and through this book we can learn a lot from them. With that, let's get a preview of the 5 big ideas. Number 1. Quitting versus stopping. Stopping means that you stop at some point, but just keep going in your work. Quitting means artistic death, never starting again. 50 pounds equals A will focus on producing a ton of work, or on producing perfect work, create the best quality of work. In a fascinating experiment, we'll find out which is the best one. Third, rituals. It's the key to creating consistently. All masters do this. Number 4, finding your work. Emulating masters that you admire is one great way of finding your own work. And number 5, keep after it. Well, art making in the modern world is hard. And Ted and David gives us 2 choices. About what? Well, guess you'll have to stick around for the 5th big idea. Now, let's get started with the first big idea, which is quitting versus stopping. Among people who want to create something, there's a very common fear going around. It's that their next work will fail. And this is just normal and a completely and recurring part of the art making cycle. It's when you have been trying out a new idea and going with it for a while, but then get diminishing returns on it. Then to decide that you're no longer going to use that idea. At this point, many writers will say that the pen has run dry. When you are at a stopping point, you acknowledge this and just say, well, that idea didn't work. Let's keep focusing on the ideas that do work, and maybe try some new ones. When you are at a quitting point, however, you see this as a sign that, yes, my fact did in fact fail. What's the use trying anymore? But what you want to do instead? Well, as Ted and David says, quitting happens just once. Quitting means not starting again. And art is all about starting again. This reminds me of an idea from Steven Pressfield in the book Do the Work. He talks about how after 17 years of trying, he finally finished his first novel. And all stoked up, of course, he cruised over to his mentor Paul Rink to tell him. And then Paul Rink said, "Good for you. Now start the next one." And this is so important that I want to write it down. Now start the next one. Quote from Steven Pressfield. So, what we want to do is to keep creating consistently, get over those road bumps, because everyone experiences these stops, but let's just not make it our artistic death, meaning that we quit and never get back to our work again. The second big idea is 50 pounds equals A, and I just love this idea. Imagine this. You're in a ceramics class, and your teacher splits you up into 2 groups. The group on the left side, I guess this is less for you, will be graded on the quantity of pots produced. 50 pounds equals A. 40 pounds equals B. And so on. You just have to create 50 or 40 pounds of pots. You don't care about the quality. Next, the group on the right of your 2 groups in your classroom are graded on quality of work of the pots. They will have to create just 1 pot to get an A. But the thing is that they'll have to create a perfect pot. Perfect. Yeah, so when grading day comes, you discover that all of the pots with the greatest quality were produced by your group, the group who had to create the highest quantity of pots. And all your mind is all blown, of course, and you ask yourself, but how can this be? We had to create a huge quantity. They only had to create one pot, but still, almost all of our pots were of better quality than theirs. Well, while your group was busily churning out piles of work and learning from your mistakes as you went, the other group sat busily theorizing about perfection, leaving them with only grandiose theories and a pile of dead clay. So what's the number one lesson we can learn from this? The number one lesson is that we want to do a ton of work. And learn from our mistakes as we go and get a little bit better every single time. I'm all in on this, by the way. Well, every single day I write a note or I create a video. Or if that's not possible for me while I'm traveling or anything like that, I read. And I don't care about making the next work perfect. I just try to get a little bit better every single day. 1 to 4%. But that's enough to create extraordinary results in the long run. So, will you focus on perfection or getting a little bit better to get a higher quality of your work? Just remember the experiment. 50 pounds of pots equals A. The third big idea is rituals. It's the key to creating consistently. And they talked about something important that I need to check out right now in my notes. Yes. They said that, quote, "The hardest part of art making is living your life in such a way that your work gets done over and over." And all types of people have these rituals. He uses some funny examples. Hemingway, for example, had a ritual of standing up while writing. If he wasn't standing up, he wasn't writing. And Einstein didn't have to choose what he had to wear every single day. He wore the same types of clothes to save his mental power. Over time, this creates huge ripple effects. And I'm reminded of an idea from Stephen Pressfield in his book Do the Work, where he talks about how Stephen King works every single day. His birthday, 4th of July, his Christmas, he works. And Stephen Pressfield says, quote, "How much time can you spare each day? For that interval, close the door. And sort of a family emergency or the outbreak of World War III, don't let anybody in. Keep working, keep working, keep working." If you're able to make your work that important that you close the door and don't open it short of a family emergency or the outbreak of World War III, I tell you, you're destined to become successful. So what are your rituals that you use to make sure that you keep creating consistently? The fourth big idea is finding your work. When you're starting, when you discover some art or other types of creative work that you just love, you'll often have certain aspects of your own work that is very equal to those you are looking at, the masters you really admire. But this is completely normal, because most of the techniques and aspects that you're trying out will have been tried out before. The key is to just keep at it and not squander your potential, and know that you'll not have so much originality in the beginning, but after a while you will have your own distinctions from your work. And Austin Kleon talks about this in Steal Like an Artist, where he says that we want to build our own family tree. He says, what's the one thinker, artist, writer, whatever you admire the most? Pick that thinker and study everything there is about him. Then choose 3 thinkers that person loved and learn everything you can about them. Then you just repeat this process, and grain by grain you build your own family tree. Eventually you'll be able to create your own branch, finding your own type of work with your own original distinctions. And this resonates deeply with me, because it's so clear to me that Brian Johnson is the one who made me, didn't make me, but inspired me to do the work I do. When I saw that he was reading about ideas and sharing them through videos and writing, I just found out that I had to figure out how to do this work by myself. And that's the reason I do what I do now. So, you want to emulate the masters to find your own work. The 5th big idea, keep after it. Ted and David says that it's so hard to do art or create something in the modern world, because we have to keep after it so consistently, with so little external reward, and we often don't know whether it will make us happy or not. But to this, they give us 2 choices. And I quote them, "In the end, it all comes down to this. You have a choice, or more accurately, a rolling tangle of choices, between giving your work your best shot and risking that it will not make you happy, or not giving it your best shot and thereby guaranteeing that it will not make you happy. It becomes a choice between certainty or uncertainty. And curiously, uncertainty is the comforting choice." Ross Harris echoes the same wisdom in his book The Confidence Gap, where he gives us 2 options. The first option is that you can live your life and do the things that are most important to you when you feel like it, when you feel all hyped up, optimistic and positive. But when something gets hard, you give up. You curl up to a ball in the corner. Then, option number 2, you can live your life and do the things that are most important to you, whether you feel like it or not. When something hard happens, you just acknowledge it and says, yes, it's challenging, but I chose to do this. I will persist. You are no longer the slave of your emotions. So, will you choose to give your work your best shot, and thereby being uncertain whether it will make you happy? Or not give your work your best shot, and thereby guaranteeing that you won't be happy? That was keep after it. Finding your own work. We want to emulate the masters to find our own work. Rituals. They are the key to creating consistently. Find yours. 50 pounds equals A. We don't want to think that something's going to be perfect. We just want to improve by 1 to 4% every time and do a ton of work. Remember the experiment of 50 pounds of pots equals A. Number 1. Quitting versus stopping. Quitting means that we stop. We have an artistic death. We never create again. Stopping means that we have become tired of an idea that didn't work. And then we just keep on working on the ideas that do work, and maybe some other new ideas. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'm looking forward to sharing more great ideas with you soon. I hope you'll have an awesome day. See ya.